Hello, I'm Erica Jones of Jones in the Way. I decided to record this video today from my personal perspective as a federal employee slash former federal employee. I've gotten quite a few questions during the process of making the decision regarding deferred resignation, the DRP, Deferred Resignation Program 1.0, which is what I was a part of, and now there's a DRP 2.0 that I've heard about in the news and heard about it from a few of my, I would say, former coworkers, but in a sense, I still feel like they're my coworkers because I'm not officially retired yet. I'm currently on administrative leave under Deferred Resignation 1.0. So stay tuned, and I'm going to answer some of the questions that I've received and tell you a little bit about my experience thus far and how I came to make the decision that I made regarding deferred resignation. Deferred resignation. I've worked for the federal government for 30 plus years, started off as a student and had a great career with the agency in which I worked for. And again, any information that I share is going to be based on my personal experience, my personal opinion. I'm not speaking on behalf of federal employees overall or the agency in which I work for. In fact, I'm not even going to mention the agency that I worked for. But I did work for the federal government for 30 plus years, and I had a really great career. I really enjoyed what I was doing. I enjoyed the people that I was working with. But I will say that in 2019, I started to think about retirement. And back then in 2019, when my husband and I sat down with our financial advisor, I mentioned wanting to retire by the time I was 50. Now, at the time, my husband was looking at me sideways thinking, I don't see how that's going to happen financially for us. But it was always in the back of my mind that I wanted to retire by the time I was 50. Not because I didn't enjoy my job, as I said before, but it was because there were other things I wanted to do. There were we have a school as part of our church. Our church ministry has a school, and I've been actively involved in that since 2010, and been pulled between my full-time federal career and the school, just tugging between the two, enjoying my job, but also enjoying teaching and mentoring students and so forth. And so there was this tug there, and I wanted some more flexibility. I had flexibility with my federal job, but I wanted more flexibility to be able to spend more time at the school and teaching, and then pursuing some other interests as well. So, but I didn't know how that would happen, but I did start doing things to prepare. So that's one thing I will say for anyone who is considering taking a deferred resignation program. You really have to look at your current situation to see if it's going to work for you and your family. For me and my family, for my husband and I, we looked at, and we have been preparing, not necessarily for me to meet that goal of retiring by the time I was 50, but we've just been on a journey to become debt free, to really get our finances in order, with the knowledge or with the goal of me being able to retire at 57, which is the minimum retirement age for me, which was 57. And that helped me make the decision that I made after much prayer, even still, when the offer was made for Deferred Resignation 1.0. It was called Fork in the Road, and initially it was a no-go for me because it was just deferred resignation. That's it. And then a week or so later, they came out with the voluntary early retirement, and that's what got my attention. So it was DRP and VERA, Voluntary Early Retirement Authority. that's what helped solidify my decision. After much prayer, I was like, okay, for me, I know not for everyone, but for me, it was a blessing in disguise. It allowed me to have that early exit that I would not have otherwise taken. I would not have otherwise retired. So I took the deferred resignation and the voluntary early retirement. So I'm currently, and this was in February when it was initially offered. So one of the questions that I've received is, how long did it take once I accepted deferred resignation? How long did it take before I was notified? So I took the deferred resignation, and it was it was a week before I was notified via email to my then official government email. I received the notice that my deferred resignation had been accepted. Okay, so I got that notice. So once I was notified that it was accepted, and then it was just to wait and see. I know I was notified that it was accepted, and that I would get further guidance from my agency. And that's what happened probably a week after I received the notice that my deferred resignation request had been accepted. Then I received the further guidance from my employer saying, okay, here are the next steps. And there was a link that I had to click on, and I had to fill out some information and actually officially sign saying that I accepted the deferred resignation. So it was inside of a federal employee portal in which I had to sign saying that I was indeed accepting the deferred resignation, and voluntary early retirement. And so I put all that information in, and then after that, another, I don't know, 2-3 days, maybe within that same week, I received an email stating that I would have 7 days to rescind my acceptance of the deferred resignation. So I had 7 days to change my mind. And as I understand it, that's in compliance with the age discrimination. So because I'm over 40, 45, then I was given 7 days to change my mind from the time that I signed and said that I accepted the offer. So this was the second time of them acknowledging. So the first time when I made the offer, they accepted it, then I had to sign, and then I had 7 days from that date to rescind, to change my mind, and which of course I didn't, because I'm sitting here now on administrative leave. So I did not change my mind. So I had that additional time. So from the time that I actually accepted the deferred resignation, a week passed. I got my notice that it was accepted. Then it was about another week. It was probably another week before I signed on the dotted line saying, yes, this is what I want to do, and I also want to resign. Now, once I received my notification, this is another question that I recently was asked. Did I submit my retirement application before I actually went on administrative leave? And the answer to that is yes. As soon as I received notification that my deferred resignation had been accepted, then I started the retirement application process inside of the employee system that we're directed to use. So I had already looked at my estimate in terms of my retirement benefits, and I had started the process after my deferred resignation was accepted, and just had everything in pending status. And then once I actually signed and officially signed the agreement and officially stated that I was accepting a deferred resignation, then I finalized my retirement application in the system, and then I submitted it. And I submitted that before I was notified of my last day. And while I still had access to the government computer, my email, and all of my accesses. So I did all of that before my last day. And then I received an email stating that I would be put on administrative leave beginning March the 7th. So that was about a 3-week, almost 4-week time span, about 3 weeks, 3-week time span from the time I initially accepted the offer until my last day. My last day was March 6th. That's the day I did the exit checklist and I turned in all my equipment, and my administrative leave began on March the 7th. And so here we are, April 4th when I'm recording this. So it's been almost a month of me being on administrative leave. Another question that I received was regarding my retirement. Has that been completed? No, I'm still in the process of working with the retirement benefits specialist on my actual retirement package and my application has been submitted, but we're still working through some details regarding my retirement, because for me, part of my service years include part-time, and I'm working with the specialist to make sure that all of the years/hours that I worked are accurately, I'm giving credit for them in my retirement calculation. So I tried to record this video before I left home, but I had technical issues. Nevertheless, I am determined to get it done. I'm actually on my way to play pickleball, which is one of the things I had on my list when I decided to take the resign and retire. And since then, first week was spring break, so I didn't do much. But then the last 2 weeks, school's been back in, and I have been at the school every day, almost all day, teaching, helping out in various ways. So that's what I've been doing. For those who are considering DRP 2.0, my advice to you is to look at your numbers. Does it make financial sense for you? Is it time for you? Be prayerful about it if you are a person of faith, because everybody's situation is different. But I'm happy to answer whatever questions I can about how I made that decision and how things are going now. Yes, I've got my first administrative leave paycheck. It came on time. There was no issues with it, and I'm praying that continues that way. So yeah, that's it. Blessings.